In this video, we're going to take a look at Storyboard IO to see how it's used to pass messages between the front-end UI and external applications. Storyboard IO is a Storyboard Engine runtime plugin that gives a Storyboard application and external applications a way to communicate with one another by using their communication channels. Communication channels are used by the backend logic and the front-end Storyboard UI application to receive data that's sent. Sending data starts with an event, and an event can trigger any number of actions, which include calling a Lua script. With an event name and channel ID, a Lua function can send data that can integrate with the C module interface on the backend. And Lua integrates with Storyboard, so it can update the front-end UI with new data it receives. These are the major components that are involved with Storyboard IO. Now let's take a closer look at these pieces and how they come together while working in Storyboard. To demonstrate how Storyboard IO works, we're going to use a sample project from Storyboard. The sample that we're going to use is the Thermostat IO demo. This is a fairly straightforward project that has all of the content that any other Storyboard project would have, but it also includes a directory called source code that we're going to take a closer look at. The reason that we have this source code directory is so we can run an external C application that's going to emulate the behavior as an actual thermostat that we can communicate with. In order to have both applications pass information between them requires that the communication channels for the front end and the back end are both open. The channel for the back end won't be open until the back end C application is running, so the first thing we need to do is compile the source code. The README document that's provided with the source code directory includes all the details a user will need to compile the source code, use a simulator as a target, name the communication channels, and how to run the demo. The part of the process will differ depending on what the host platform is going to be for the backend when it's running. The makefile I've got here is set up to run on a Linux platform, so I need to modify this path so I can run 4.1 on a Mac host platform. After modifying my makefile, I'll save any changes that were made and compile the source code. To do that, I'm going to open up Terminal, and I'm going to change the directory, so now I'm in the source code directory. If I run the makefile, we can see that the source code has been built. Now we're ready to run the backend. Let's run /thermostat_backend. And now we're given a message trying to open a connection to the front end. So by this, we're talking about opening a connection with the front end channel. Now that we've launched the backend application, the backend channel has been opened. So now let's take a look at where the front end channel is defined. Since Storyboard IO is a plugin for Storyboard Engine, if we open up the Storyboard Simulator configurations, under the header for Storyboard Engine options, we can see a list of plugins. From the list, the GREIO plugin provides an option to name the front end channel, which we're going to call thermostat_frontend. And this is the channel that's going to receive data that's sent from the backend. If we go back to our source code directory and take a look at the C file, we're going to find where the thermostat backend channel is defined. If we scroll down just a little, we're going to see where the thermostat backend channel is set. So this is the channel that we're going to be sending messages to from the front end. Now that we have our source code built and channels defined for the front end and back end, all we need now are some events that will involve working with the front end and back end. So let's start out by sending a command to raise the temperature by 1 degree. To use the plus control to raise the temperature, I'm going to select the control and add an action. The trigger is going to be a press event that will use a Lua script that's going to call a function named cbTempUp. When I hit finish, if I take a look at the actions view, I can see that the action has been created and bound to the plus control. If we go to our scripts folder and open the callbacks.lua file, we can see that there's a function to turn the temperature down, and if I hover over this function, we're given the event definition for send event data that will basically send data with an event name to an application or SBIO channel. I can copy the decrease temperature function and modify it to be our function that turns up the temperature. The event name that's included with this function will be picked up by the backend application that's going to receive this information through its channel ID. The backend will receive and process the sent data, then it'll be used in the event name for increased temperature, and the updated information will be sent back to the front end channel. So now, we need an action on the front end that can receive this information and update the UI accordingly. So at the application level, I'm going to add an action, but I'm going to trigger the action with a custom event. So I'll give the event the name thermostat update, and I'll hit finish, and now we're going to select this event to call a Lua function that we can name CB update thermostat, and now select finish. In my actions view, I can select our new trigger event, thermostat update, and I'm going to hit the edit button so that I can choose to create this function because it hasn't been written yet. The thermostat has several variables to update, and the thermostat front-end channels receive updated values that get sent from the backend. So now our backend logic is interfacing with our front end. So if we save our work and simulate the project, Storyboard Engine opens the front end channel that our backend application was waiting on. With the channel now open, our front end is able to receive data that's sent. So now the temperature shows that it's 16 degrees. If we take a look at the backend, we can see that when we send events, they're being picked up, and updated values are being sent back to the front end and are set. The documentation included with Storyboard Suite gives users the resources they need to take their application development further. With the Lua API and Storyboard IO API, users can achieve platform-independent communications among various external applications. Come and see what Storyboard Suite can do for you. Try the Storyboard Suite 30-day trial for free at cranksoftware.com.